Just yesterday, TVS launched the updated Apache RR310 in the Indian market with fully adjustable suspension, a few tweaks to the riding ergonomics to make it even friendlier, even sharper for the racetrack. And now, close on the heels of that launch, comes the announcement of the all-new KTM RC390. As you are aware, the KTM RC390 is the arch rival to the RR310, but compared to the TVS motorcycle, the KTM has a much wider global appeal, and now it comes with a slew of new features that have been a long time coming. Now, first and foremost, we have to talk about the new RC390's design. Now, this has always been a polarizing bit, even for the previous model. Not everyone loved that rat face design, as they would call it. The new one, well, it's even more polarizing than before. It's not as aggressive as before, doesn't look as sharp as before. Now, this has been derived from the RC16, the MotoGP race machine, and it has a much wider front end, and that is for improved aerodynamics and improved wind deflection from the rider. This was something that a lot of riders and racers had asked for on the RC390, and they finally get that. It also gets integrated turn blinkers, which again leads to that design being a bit polarizing. But the headlights, they are all LED on all the models, the 390, the 200, as well as the 125. If you look at it from the side, the windscreen looks quite tall, it looks quite upright as well, much upright for a race bike, but KTM insists that the aerodynamic efficiency is much improved now because again, all of this comes from their learnings on the race bike, and it also contributes to that effect of reducing the wind that the rider is going to face when on the motorcycle, whether you're sport touring or when you're out on the racetrack. As before, the RC390 will have two color options to choose from, and the newer blue and orange scheme is again inspired from the MotoGP livery, and I think it looks quite good. It should look great in the real world as well. Apart from improving the aerodynamics, they've also reworked the bodywork in such a way that the interplay of panels is much lesser. It requires lesser nuts and bolts as well, so removing the panels is a much easier affair than before. The cuts and creases have been designed in such a way that they also deflect the hot air away from the rider so that the heating is not as bad. That was one big complaint with the outgoing RC390, that it would heat up quite a bit, especially the different variations that came out of the RC390. One of the biggest updates that the RC390 kept getting was the better heat management, and the new one claims even better heat management now. That remains to be seen. I certainly want to test that out in the Indian conditions. KTM also say that the rider ergonomics have been tweaked quite a bit now with this new design. The knee recesses are much narrower, the tank feels much narrower between the knees, but you get a larger contact patch for the knees. So under braking, under cornering, you get much better stability, much better support from the bodywork. If you look at the tail, the design change isn't as dramatic as what you see in the front. It still follows the same design theme that we saw on the outgoing RC390. It has gone a little bit sharper now. It has a similar tail light profile as well, but it's a bit sharper now. It's also a bit narrower, but the seat has been improved for better pillion comfort for sport touring, long distance riding, and the design is quite conventional compared to the first RC390 rear seat that we saw. In fact, KTM say that both the rider and the pillion seat has been redesigned for better comfort, and out on the track, the rider seat is designed in a way that you can still get great body positioning into the corner. Speaking of the racetrack, KTM has developed an entirely new chassis for the RC390 now. They haven't spoken much about the weight of the chassis in particular, but the overall weight has gone down. One of the biggest contributors to that are the lighter wheels that this bike now runs, about 3.4 kg lighter than the outgoing RC390. But more importantly, they have given the chassis better stiffness for a better feel, a better front end feel, a better overall feel when you are attacking the corners at maximum limit. Now, this is something that we would certainly love to test out. KTM has also updated the suspension. Like the RR310, it gets fully adjustable suspension at the front and at the rear. At the front, you get separate function forks, 43mm WP apex, so that's larger than what we've seen on the RR310. The right fork will let you adjust 30 levels of compression, 30 clicks of compression. The left one will let you adjust 30 clicks of rebound. Similarly, at the rear, the Monoshock gives you up to 5 clicks of rebound adjustment, and both the front and the rear is of course adjustable for preload. Now, as I mentioned before, the wheels are now 3.4 kgs lighter. They follow a simpler 5-spoke design, have open hubs as well, and KTM says that that improves the unsprung mass, that reduces the unsprung mass, and that in turn improves the overall handling of the motorcycle, especially at turn-ins. It feels much sharper, direction changes feel much easier. They continue to run on similar tire sizes as the outgoing 390, that's a 110 front and a 150 rear. Even the brake rotors are similar in size to the outgoing ones, 320 at the front, 230 at the rear, built by Vibray. But the big difference is going to be the ABS modes. Now you finally get cornering ABS as well. That essentially means that if you want to trail brake into the corner, it will give you much better braking performance because it's a lean sensitive anti-lock braking system. Similarly, you have a more advanced Supermoto ABS as well. So if you really want to go wild with it in that typical Supermoto style like KTM posts on their own YouTube channel, you can do that as well. It will essentially turn off the ABS on the rear wheel. It will also essentially make sure that the ABS doesn't kick in when there is rear wheel lift. And it will also allow you to push much further into the corner on your brakes, and only when there is slip at the front the ABS will finally kick in, but it will allow you to have a lot more sliding fun if you really want to do that with the RC390. On the topic of these advanced electronics, you also have a traction control system now, and that is something that is going to blow the competition out of the water. It is going to set the RC390 apart from all of its rivals. And I think this electronics package is what is going to make this the most convincing super sport that you could put your money on if you are looking at, coming to grips with what a super sport is all about. Doing track days, you want that machine which doesn't have overwhelming amount of power. It has just the right amount of power to really keep up with the bigger super sport machines. At the same time, it also has the right amount of electronics to help you learn and then give you that safety net when things go out of control. So I think that is where the KTM 390 is really going to nail it now. So KTM haven't made much change to the engine, the BS6 engine that is already doing duty in the 390 range in the Indian market. So they haven't done much of a change there. But there is now a larger airbox, a 40% larger airbox. There is a tuning change as well. It is still made it to a 6-speed transmission, manual transmission of course, with a slipper clutch. So in terms of the engine, I don't know. They have not really spoken about any numbers yet. So that larger airbox, the tuning change will amount to better performance. They are also talking about better corner speeds. So that again remains to be tested, again remains to be seen. But as of now, they haven't really revealed any numbers as such. So this is something that we'll get with a road test. The other good bit about the engine and the electronics package is the option of having a quick shifter. That's something that we missed on the RR310 as well. And that's something that a lot of you might choose if you are taking this motorcycle to a racetrack. And finally, it gets the big TFT screen that we've also seen on the other 390s, other newer 390s. It can also interface with the KTM app so that you can do your ride tracking, you can do your lap timing, you can record all that telemetry. So yeah, it does open up a lot of new features. It opens up Bluetooth connectivity as well. So it does open up a lot of new features, and that is something that is again going to be of a lot of value for urban riders, urban commuters who are going to choose the RC390 as the one bike to maybe do it all, track, sport touring and urban duties. So I think that is one other value add. Now, when does the KTM RC390, the new one, come to the Indian market? Well, the bike has been testing in India for quite some time. There have been quite a few spy shots that have already made their way onto the internet. So I'm guessing around the festive season, KTM should bring that RC390, especially now that there's a new RR310. So I think the new RC390, the all new RC390 is already late to the market. It has to be here as soon as possible. So I hope that by the festive season, the motorcycle is already here. With all these additional features, of course, it is going to be significantly pricier than the outgoing RC390, let's put it that way, because it has a lot of new electronics, a lot of new features. So it is going to be significantly pricier than the outgoing model. Now, what I really hope is that that adjustable suspension does come to the Indian market as well, because we've seen that on the 390 Adventure, they haven't done that. And I hope that at least on a track 2 like the RC390, KTM India or Bajaj decide to give that adjustable suspension, especially now that the RR310 also has it. I hope it is available. Maybe not a standard fit, maybe make it a part of the KTM options list, but have that at least as an option for people who want that level of adjustability and that level of tunability. And since I brought the 390 Adventure into the talk here, tank capacity has gone up from about 9.7 liters on the outgoing 390 to 13.7 liters on the new RC390. That's a big jump. That's almost as much as the 14.5 liter capacity of the 390 Adventure. And that is a big deal, especially when you're riding to the track, especially given the fact that there are only 2.5 racetracks in India right now. You might want to do long road trips, especially if you are like us staying here in Maharashtra. You might have to travel quite a bit to get to the BIC, the MMRT or the Kari Motor Speedway. And a large tank certainly helps. It gives you a longer range as well. How much range, what kind of fuel economy, what kind of 0 to 100 numbers, what kind of braking figures are we talking about? We don't know yet. I'm sure all those metrics will improve with the kind of updates that the 390 is bringing to the table, but we'll only know once we road test this motorcycle after it is launched in the Indian market. So we really hope KTM India gives us that opportunity soon. We hope that the motorcycle comes to the Indian market real soon. Let me know what are your thoughts about all these changes. Let me also know what is the future of full-fledged super sport machines in the Indian market with the adventure bikes and the street nakeds taking over in such a big way. Do you still think that there is a sizable market for full-fledged super sport machines of this kind and in this price bracket? Let me know your thoughts. I'm really intrigued to know. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, please hit that like button if you found this video informative. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And please share this video with as many people as you can so that our numbers keep growing and we keep bringing you this kind of content. Thank you.
Rave.